what does the world look like a week after the revolution, like a month after, a year after? I know it's a very intense question, but that's kind of where my mind is at.
Okay, well, first of all, I would say that in a broad and basic sense that some of that is spoken to directly in the Constitution for the New Socialist Republic in North America. So that's somewhere you could go to get a living sense of that. As far as the day after, well, to be scientific and honest about it, one of the things it'll look like is there will have been a lot of destruction, overwhelmingly brought down by the old ruling forces, and a lot of immediate need for reconstruction, but on a different basis. And that's both a real problem, but also a means to accomplish something positive, in the sense that a lot of people who in the old society were unable, and prevented from doing meaningful work, for example, can find a meaningful purpose in helping to rebuild the whole society, but on a completely different basis, including giving a high priority to the basic needs of people, especially those, not only those, but especially those who have been denied a lot of the basic necessities of life under the old system. So that's one thing. Destruction, the effects of destruction, mainly brought down by the old ruling class, and the reconstruction. And then, in the realm outside of just the material conditions, so to speak, there should be a lot of political vibrancy, with a lot of people who've been brought forward through this process, and who have, in a beginning way, not in any kind of complete or absolute sense, certainly, but in a beginning way, begin to transform their own way of approaching the world and their way of interacting with other people. There should be a lot of political ferment the day after, or the week after, the year after, about, okay, how we have this basis now to go, to build a new kind of society aiming for a whole new world. Okay, how do we go about doing that? A lot of percolation, if you will, a lot of ferment, in over those kind of questions, but also going back to what was raised about culture, a lot of beginning ferment in the realm of art and culture, a lot of creativity being unleashed that's been suppressed under the old society, not only politically suppressed, but suppressed by the conditions of life and the relations that people are enmeshed in, which suffocate a lot of that out of people, under the present set of relations. But I don't want to present an incorrectly and dishonestly rosy picture as if everything will be great. There will be a lot of contradiction, a lot of struggle. One of the things that has to be recognized is you don't make, this is something that Lenin said after his experience of the Russian Revolution, you don't make revolution with people as you would like them to be. You make revolution as they have been, quote unquote, bequeathed to you by the old society. So there'll be a lot of backward stuff still among people. There'll be a lot to be struggled out, particularly, say, in the realm of intimate relations, in particular the relations between men and women and the family and all that. There'll be, a tremendous amount of struggle. But the point is, instead of things working to reinforce the oppressive relations, what is now emerging as a dominant political structure, institutions, and process, and the newly, emerging culture will be giving support and impetus to the people who are struggling to overcome those oppressive relations. So there should be, and we need to work so that this is realized in reality, a tremendous amount of positive ferment and creativity that's bursting forth, and at the same time a tremendous amount of struggle against backward ways of seeing things and backward ways of doing things and backward and even oppressive ways of relating to people that are left over from the old society, that are not going to be swept away just because you've overthrown the system. So there'll be, all that will be in a very, will be boiling up together in a way that that positive things can be forged out of it, but which will require struggle to do that. And then there'll be movement toward a whole different kind of economy, which is geared to meeting the needs of the people, not just in the basic material sense of housing, shelter, shelter and healthcare and food and all that, which is very important, but also their needs intellectually and culturally. So the goal will be to be meeting those needs in an expanding way at the same time as there'll be a tremendous orientation toward the rest of the world. How is what we're doing here, what we've just started here with this overthrow of this old system, the beginning of a new system, how is what we're doing, how can that be a concrete source of support and aid as well as a source of inspiration to people all over the world? And believe me, if and when revolution is made in this country, there won't be hardly anybody in the world that I can think of who won't be paying attention to that. So the impact on the entire world can be very profound. Of course, that will also be a process of struggle because, in the real world, there are real material contradictions involved in this. It's all well and good, and yes, it is well and good, actually, and it's very correct and necessary to have the internationalist orientation that we're doing this for all of humanity, and we need to be, promoting and supporting the revolution all over the world. But that will stand in acute, sometimes very acute contradiction to meeting the needs of the people right then, right there, especially if you keep in mind what I said about there'll be a lot of destruction and a need for reconstruction. Those things will be very acutely in contradiction. And people say, that's all well and good, I want to do that too, but right now I don't even have a place to live. I don't have a house, I don't have any dwelling, I can't eat, my kids are hungry. What are you going to do about that? And there will be a tremendous amount of struggle to correctly handle those things in a way that pays attention to and moves to meet those very real and immediate material needs, while at the same time putting a lot of emphasis on and making real the support concretely and the inspiration ideologically, if you will, for the people in the rest of the world who also need to make this revolution, or else not only will they continue to suffer, but the gains that are made in any particular place, including the revolution that will just be made here, will be in danger of being reversed, because you can't exist just as an isolated base all unto yourself. There are still forces out there that are going to work to attack and undermine what you're trying to do and destroy it if they can. And, as long as you're still living in a world which is mainly dominated by the economic relations and the economic dynamics of an alien system, an oppressive and exploitative system, you cannot be unaffected by that. There is a principle that a socialist country should be strategically self-reliant economically. But you cannot be, and you should not attempt to be, self-reliant absolutely. You're still going to need to engage in the larger world, including trade and some economic relations. And as long as most of the world is operating according to principles that are directly opposed to what you're working to do, then that's going to have a great effect on what's happening within the new socialist society, the revolutionary society that you've brought forward, as well as having terrible consequences for the rest of the people in the world who are still living under the old system. So all of this is what will be, a lot of foment, a lot of ferment, a lot of struggle. This will be fomenting a lot of struggle and ferment, I should say, in terms of how do we handle these contradictions. But at the same time, it really will be like, a spring after a very long and bitter winter. I will say that.